Good day, everyone. Today, we will be discussing tourism supply and demand. To get a sense of this topic, let us first understand supply and demand and how they interact. Supply is defined as the quantity of goods or services offered for sale at a particular time or at one price, while demand is defined as the quantity of a commodity or service wanted at a specified price and time, or the willingness and ability to purchase a commodity or service. These two are interconnected concepts in economics that explain how prices and quantities of goods or services are determined in a market through interactions. The law of demand states that when all else is equal, the demand for a product changes inversely with its price. The higher the price, the lower the level of demand. The law of supply relates price changes for a product to the quantity supplied. The relationship is direct, not inverse. The higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied. Now, how does this relate to tourism? The tourism market is vast, encompassing various services such as travel, accommodation, dining, entertainment, and cultural experiences. The product we are trying to supply is largely experiential rather than just a tangible product. Now, let's define tourism's demand and supply. Tourism demand refers to the willingness and ability of consumers to purchase the tourism services or travel based on their needs or desires to experience the place. Key factors influencing tourism demand include economic factors, social and demographic, political and health, or psychological. The tourism demand is dynamic and constantly changing. For example, improved flight accessibility or social media promotion can significantly increase tourist demand for a destination. The concept of tourism supply, on the other hand, plays a crucial role in satisfying the demands of tourists and includes various components such as transportation, accommodation, food, service, and entertainment facilities. It represents everything that supports and enables the tourist experience from arrival to departure. It relies on inter-sector linkages. Unlike many industries, tourism supply is largely location bound, meaning tourists must travel to the destination to consume the product. Tourism supply also refers to the variety of supply channels. To oversimplify, the market is the demand, while the destination is the supply. All of this helps to achieve equilibrium. An example of this is a popular tourist destination during peak season. The hotel must manage room availability to match the increased demand. If they can balance the number of rooms effectively, it prevents overbooking and ensures guests have a place to stay. So, why are both important in tourism planning and destination management? Understanding both tourism demand and tourism supply is essential in tourism planning and destination management because tourism functions effectively when these two elements are balanced. Tourism planners and destination managers rely on demand and analysis to answer questions such as who are our tourists? What experiences are they looking for? When do they travel? How much are they willing to spend? At the same time, supply analysis helps determine the questions what resources and facilities are available, what infrastructure needs improvement, and what services must be developed or regulated. The demand supply balance directly affects operational efficiency and customer experiences. If there are too many tourists but limited facilities, destinations may experience overcrowding, environmental damage, and poor visitor satisfaction. Conversely, if a destination develops many facilities but attract few visitors, resources and investments may be wasted. Achieving equilibrium ensures optimal resource utilization while also enhancing guest satisfaction. Understanding the components of demand and supply allows businesses to adapt changing market conditions and remain competitive. Therefore, effective tourism planning aims to match supply with demand while ensuring sustainability, community benefit, and long-term economic viability. Destination management organizations use these concepts to guide marketing strategies, infrastructure development, policymaking, and resource protection. Now let's go to the overview. As we expound further, we will discuss tourism demand, including its definition, the different types of demand, the factors that influence people's decision to travel, the common ways tourism demand is measured, such as tourist arrivals and length of stay. Next, we will explain tourism supply, focusing on the resources and services that destinations provide, their main components such as attractions, accessibilities, amenities, and support services, as well as their key characteristics. We will then examine the relationship between tourism demand and supply, including how they influence each other, the effectiveness of oversupply and undersupply, and the importance of maintaining balance for sustainability in tourism development. Finally, we will present case examples, including Boracay Island and the emerging destinations like Camotes Islands, to show how these concepts apply in the real-world tourism situations.
Hello, I'll be discussing about tourism demands or concepts, its definition, and its four key types. But first, let us define tourism demand. Tourism demand is the total number of people who travel to a destination and spend money there on services like hotels, transport, food, and attractions at a specific time and price. It reflects consumer behavior influenced by factors like income, marketing, and seasonality, guiding industry planning from one place's resort to global chains. Tourist demand splits into four categories based on tourist intent and readiness. First, we have actual demand. This is realized demand. People actively traveling and spending right now. For instance, summer crowds flocking to Philippine beaches like Boracay, booking flights and rooms, directly measured via hotel occupancy and ticket sales. Next, we have potential demand. These are interested travelers with means to visit soon, but minor barriers like timing hold them back. An example of this are urban Filipinos eyeing a quick Cebu weekend getaway, convertible via flash sales or social media ads. Next, we have deferred demand. Tourists planning trips but postponing due to bigger constraints like high cost or work. Think about families saving for a dream Palawan adventure next year when budget aligns. And lastly, we have no demand, which is the complete lack of interest or awareness, often from distance, culture clashes, or poor promotion. City dwellers ignoring rural hikes until influencers create buzz is a great example of this. Now, understanding these types lets businesses forecast accurately, sustain actual demand with loyalty programs, nurture potential deferred via discounts, and spark no demand through targeted campaigns. This drives sustainable growth in places like Cebu City. Thank you very much. And that would be all. I'm now passing the floor to the next reporter.
So next, let's discuss about the determinants and measurements of demand. So basically, this is about why people decide to travel or not. So the first one is we have economic factors. So this is pretty obvious. If people have more money, they can travel more. If the cost of living is high or if exchange rates make traveling expensive, then demand goes down. For example, when the Philippine peso is strong against the dollar, Filipinos find it cheaper to travel abroad. So in short, money and affordability are the foundation of travel decisions. And next, we have social and demographic factors. So this is more about who the travelers are, like age, lifestyle, and education all matter. So younger people usually want adventure, nightlife, and fun experiences, while older travelers might prefer cultural tours or relaxing trips. Also, as cities grow and more people live in urban cities or areas, there's more outbound tourism because people want to escape their busy routines. So it's really about the kind of life people live and what stage they're in. Then there are political and health factors. So this is about safety and rules. So if a country has stable governance, like easy visa requirements and safe conditions, people feel more confident to visit. But if there's a health crisis like COVID-19, tourism demand can collapse almost overnight. So politics and health directly control whether the people feel safe and allowed to travel. And finally, we have psychological factors. So this is about motivation, the why behind the travel. Some people travel to relax, others for prestige, or maybe to learn about culture. Media and social trends also play a big role. If a destination is trending online or portrayed positively in movies or social media, people suddenly want to go there. So perception and motivation are powerful drivers. Now let's move to the next slide, and this one explains how we actually measure tourism demand. So the first measure is arrivals. So this is simply counting how many visitors enter a destination. It's tracked at airports, seaports, and borders. So it's the most basic way to see how popular a place is. And then second is receipts. So this is about money, how much tourists spend on hotels, food, transport, and entertainment. It shows the economic impact of tourism. So if receipts are high, it means tourism is really benefiting the local economy. And the third, we have length of stay. So this tells us how many nights tourists spend in the destination. Longer stays means tourists are more engaged and spending more, which is better for local businesses. Short stays might mean the place is more of a quick stop rather than a main destination. And lastly is we have purpose of visit. This looks at why people are traveling, whether it's for leisure, business, education, or medical reasons. Knowing this helps the destination plan better. For example, if most visitors come for leisure, then the government or businesses might invest more in attractions and entertainment. If it's business travel, then maybe more conference centers or hotels are needed. So that's all for my part. Next reporter, please.
Building on the discussion of tourism demand, I will now discuss tourism supply. So tourism supply refers to the total range of goods, services, and resources available in a destination to meet the needs and expectation of the tourist. It includes accommodations, transportation, attractions, food services, and other facilities that make travel possible and enjoyable. Tourism supply plays an important role in shaping visitor experiences and contributes to the economic development of a destination, while also requiring proper management to ensure sustainability and quality service. Like for example, when tourists visit Cebu, tourism supply includes their flights and local transportation, their stay in hotels or resorts, dining in local restaurants, and visiting attractions such as Kawasan Falls or cultural festivals. These combined services and experiences allow destinations to effectively satisfy tourism demand. And next, we're going to talk about the four components of tourism supply. First, we have the attractions. Attractions are the primary elements that motivate tourists to visit a destination. They represent the unique features and experiences a place offers and are commonly classified into natural, cultural, and man-made attractions. these attractions create the main appeal of a destination and strongly influence tourism demand. First, natural attractions. These features are formed by nature, such as landscapes and waterfalls. Examples include the Communal Ranch in Pasugpong, Bukidnon. We also have the Cloud9 Beach in Siargao, Cancalanog Falls in Alegria, Cebu, and as you can see in the picture, we also have the Matterhorn in Zermatt, Switzerland. Next is the cultural attractions. These reflect history and heritage. Examples include the Chichen Itza in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, the Great Wall of China in Beijing, the National Museum of Fine Arts in Manila, Philippines, and lastly, we have the Vegan City in Ilocos Sur. We also have the man-made attractions. These are developed by people to enhance tourism experiences. Examples include the Banawi rice terraces in Ifugao province. We also have Chinatown in Binondo, Manila. As you can see in the picture, we have the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. And we also have San Juan de Gas de Logach in the Basque Country, Spain. So next component in tourism supply, we have accessibility. Accessibility refers to how easily tourists can travel to and within a destination. It includes transportation systems, infrastructure, and interior requirements that allow visitors to reach attractions conveniently and safely. Good accessibility increases tourist arrivals because destinations become more convenient and time efficient to visit. Examples of accessibility include international airports such as Mactan Cebu International Airport, which connects Cebu to domestic and international destinations, well-developed road networks and public transportations like buses, taxis, and ferries, the availability of direct flights and seaports for island destinations, and visa-free entry or simplified visa policies that make travel easier for foreign tourists. Next component is the amenities. Amenities refer to the facilities and services that provide comfort, convenience, and enjoyment to tourists during their stay. While attractions motivate tourists to visit, amenities influence how long they stay and how satisfied they feel with their overall experience. First type of amenities is accommodation. Accommodation includes places where tourists stay, such as hotels, resorts, hostels, and vacation rentals. Examples include the beach resorts in Mactan, Cebu, as well as city hotels and boutique accommodations. We also have food services that include restaurants, cafes, and local dining establishments that allow visitors to experience local and international cuisine, such as local seafood restaurants in Cebu and street food areas or food parks. Example of these is the Sugbo Mercado in Ayala. We also have another type of amenities, which is entertainment. It refers to leisure and recreational activities such as shopping malls, nightlife areas, theme parks. Example of theme parks are the Universal Studio in Japan and Disneyland in Hong Kong. And we also have cultural shows for entertainment. Lastly, we have ancillary service for the tourism supply component. It refers to supporting services that assist tourists before and during their trip, making travel more organized, convenient, and safe. Although they are not the main attractions, these services enhance the overall tourism experience by providing information, coordination, and assistance to visitors. These include travel agencies and tour operators that help tourists plan itineraries, book accommodations, and arrange transportation and tour packages. Tour guides provide interpretation, historical background, and local knowledge that enrich tourist understanding of destinations. Support services are also include tourist information centers, travel insurance providers, currency exchange services, and emergency assistance that ensure tourists' safety and comfort. Overall, tourism supply ensures that destinations can effectively accommodate visitors and meet tourism demand. With that, the next speaker will now continue the discussion.
Hi, hello, good day everyone. I'm Vanessa G. Nardo, and today I will be discussing the characteristic of a tourism supply. Tourism supply refers to all the goods, services, attractions, and facilities that are provided to tourists in a destination. Unlike physical products, tourism supply has a unique characteristics that affect how tourism services are delivered and managed. And there are four main characteristics. First is perishability, next is seasonality, third is fixed location, and fourth is intangibility. So, let us first tackle the perishability. Tourism supply is perishable because tourism services cannot be stored or saved for future use. These services exist only at the same time they are available. If they are not used, they are permanently lost. This applies to hotel rooms, airline seats, and tour services. For example, an empty room at the Radisson Blu Hotel Cebu cannot be sold from that same night once that day has passed. The opportunity to earn income from that room is already lost. So, next is seasonality. Tourism supply is affected by seasonal changes in demand. Tourist arrival increase during certain periods such as summer, holidays, and festivals, and decrease during the off-peak season such as rainy season. This variation affects the number of tourists, business income, and employment in a tourism destination. For example, Boracay receives more tourists during the summer season while fewer tourist visits during the rainy season. Next is the fixed location. Tourism supply is a fixed in a specific place and cannot be moved to another location. Natural attractions, cultural sites, and tourism facilities exist only where they are located. Tourism must travel to the destination to experience these attractions. For example, the Chocolate Hills can be only visited in Bohol. Tourists cannot experience it anywhere because it is permanently located in Bohol or in that area. And lastly is intangibility. Tourism supply is intangible because it involves products and experience rather than physical products. Tourists do not own the tourism product. Instead, they experience enjoyment, satisfaction, and memories. The value of tourism is based on experience provided. For example, visiting Kawasan Falls provides enjoyment, experience, but tourists do not own the attraction itself. So, in conclusion, the tourism supply has four main characteristics: perishability, seasonality, and fixation and intangibility. These characteristics make tourism different from physical goods and require proper management to ensure the quality service and customer satisfaction. And thank you, and that all concludes my report. Bye!
So today I will explain how destinations balance the number of visitors and their capacity. So in tourism, demand is the number of tourists willing and able to travel to a destination. Supply is the available facilities and services such as hotel rooms, flights, transportation, and infrastructure. And supply responds to demand. When a destination becomes popular, investors build more hotels, airlines add more routes, and the government improves infrastructure. However, these developments take time. Large projects like airports or resorts cannot be completed in a day, or it's not completed quickly, so supply often lags behind sudden increases in demand. So if tourist arrivals decrease, businesses reduce operations or adjust prices to remain competitive. So these problems begin when demand and supply are no longer being balanced. Oversupply happens when there are too many hotel rooms, flights, or tourism services compared to the number of visitors in a place. So in this situation, businesses compete aggressively by lowering their prices. Occupancy rates decline, profits shrink, and some establishments may eventually close, especially during off-peak seasons. In contrast, undersupply occurs when there are more tourists than the destination can accommodate. Now, this results in overcrowding, higher prices, traffic congestion, and pressure on natural resources. Now, tourists may experience inconvenience, while residents may feel that their community is being overwhelmed and being displaced. And both situations show why proper planning is very necessary. Another issue is the infrastructure mismatch. Now, this happens when a destination attracts many visitors, but it lacks the sufficient support systems such as water supply, electricity, and waste management. So even if hotels and attractions are available, weak infrastructure can lead to service disruptions and damage the destination's image. There is also a risk of being overdependent on a single market. If a destination relies heavily on a tourist from one country and that market faces economic or political problems, tourist arrivals can decline rapidly. So when this happens, local businesses and workers are directly affected. So by diversifying the tourist market, it helps reduce this vulnerability. To maintain long-term success, destinations must focus on sustainability. This means that managing tourism in a way that protects resources while supporting economic growth and community well-being. Now, there are three main pillars to consider, which is first, the environmental sustainability. It involves respecting the destination's carrying capacity so that natural resources and ecosystems are not damaged. Second, economic sustainability, which ensures that tourism generates stable income and employment rate over time. Lastly, social sustainability protects local culture and maintains the quality of life for residents. When these three areas are balanced, tourism development becomes more stable and responsible. A clear example here is Boracay in 2018. Tourist arrivals reached around 2 million, but the island's sewage and drainage systems could not handle the volume. Many establishments were not properly connected to the wastewater facilities, which led to environmental damage. Now, the government temporarily closed the island for 6 months to allow rehabilitation. After reopening, stricter regulations and visitor limits were implemented. Another example is Siargao, which is once known for surfing. It gained international recognition and experienced rapid growth in tourist arrivals. Now, this growth increased pressure on electricity, waste management, and other utilities. Authorities are strengthening infrastructure to manage tourism more effectively. It also led to gentrification, as rising rental and living costs made it harder for some residents to afford daily expenses. In conclusion, managing tourism requires careful coordination between demand and supply. Tourism services are perishable, which means an unsold hotel room or an empty airplane seat represents lost revenue that cannot be recovered. Because of this, destinations must plan strategically, monitor visitor numbers, and invest in infrastructure responsibly. When demand and supply are balanced, visitors receive quality experiences, businesses remain profitable, and natural and cultural resources are preserved. This balance is essential for the long-term success for any destination. That would be all. Thank you.